Did you hear that?
New details are coming
No, rewind that.
Been killed in shootouts with police. At least one of them, according and turned over to
shit,
police. At least one of them, according to reports, would be an American. A man
Are we live right now?
I don't know.
bodyguards
Can you guys see us?
embassy in Haiti.
Isn't there a go live button or it's going automatically?
New details are coming out about the
How's
attack
everyone
by the
doing?
president.
I checked.
Hello. Usually I have to hit the go live button, but it says end of stream there, so I'm guessing we're live. Hey everybody, welcome to episode 7 of Project Canada.
Welcome to Project Canada.
We have our reporter here.
Reporter that buzz. Actually, my real name is Herman the Hemorrhoid Harry. So,
Thank you for being here, Harry.
my pleasure. So the news is getting kind of hectic this week. Let me just check up on some things.
Our first news item is actually not one from Canada, but it's a very interesting one. There's a lot of Haitian Canadians, of course.
Yep.
And also, president got assassinated?
President got whacked. So, it's kind of crazy that a president can get taken out just like that. We know, we know. Come on, we know. There's things in the work in the shadows right now. But what's crazy is, you like the hair?
That looks great.
Just went to the salon today, trying to get on my news level, right? So, yeah, we got a great deal of Haitians that live in Canada, mostly predominantly in Montreal, Quebec. I think 1/3 or close to it of the Canadian French-speaking population is Haitian.
That's a crazy factoid. 1/3 of all French-speaking Canadians are Haitian.
It's crazy. Look up Montreal statistics, I guess, right?
Herman, you're so full of information. Thank you.
The president, thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
The president of Haiti obviously didn't kill himself, just like Epstein.
Whoa, did they say he killed himself? No.
No. But what I'm trying to say is that he was vocally against vaccines, mass vaccinating his own citizens. Now, what I know...
You don't say.
Now, what
You
I
don't say.
what I know, probably within the last year since COVID began, the opposition was trying to get him out of office. There was also a lot of things that are being stirred up in the news, in the media, So one thing I notice is that if you go against the grain, they'll bring the full weight and might of that sheeple hammer down on you. You know?
And then they'll
Obey.
kill you. And then they'll kill you.
And then they'll kill you.
And then you'll die.
It kind of had me wondering why we don't have any opposition in Canada. It's because they're shook. It's because they're shitting their pants right now.
Canada shook. No opposition.
No opposition.
Tonight at
Doug Ford won't even go against Justin Trudeau. Jagmeet Singh co-signs Justin Trudeau, but he makes TikToks about how much he hates Justin Trudeau. Damn. Makes no sense. Then why vote with Justin Trudeau? I think it's because you don't toe the line, you will get mowed in that line. Yeah?
Yeah. We were saying before the cameras turned on how, where is the opposition in this country, in Canada?
There's no opposition.
Like Rebel News? Is that it?
Aren't they activist journalists?
I mean, we can throw this up because since we're talking about it, just a moment here. You guys probably saw this clip. Oh shit, do I have the clip? Yeah, I got the clip right here. So there's no audio, but what's her name again? She's a Rebel News reporter.
Drea.
Yeah, and she was like, hey, you haven't said anything about the burning churches. And the security guard is like, get her out of here. And then kind of grabs her and pushes her back. And, and there's Ezra. But that's that in the world of politics, it's kind of cynical, and it's that is a good clip to take and be like, look, Justin Trudeau avoided this question, and it's horrible. And it's nothing new. Unfortunately, we're kind of used to that. We're unused to him not answering any of the real questions.
Yeah.
And then there's a rebel website already. Stop manhandling journalists. Sign the petition and blah blah blah. And I mean, I want to believe that this is helping. It's definitely helping Rebel News. It's definitely helping their platform. That's great. Good for them. part of it is kind of like you kind of have to laugh, right? Because it's like a security guard pushing someone away, like, you know, the leader of our country, and it's like, whoa, like manhandling journalists. Like, trust me, I'm not trying to like give Justin Trudeau the benefit of the doubt, not by any means.
No.
But we're talking about opposition to Justin Trudeau. We're talking about like some sort of meaningful resistance to what he does.
But can I touch on that for a sec?
Yes, Herman, please. Go right ahead.
So, as a fellow journalist, and I've been on the news quite some time on Channel 6 non-communist broadcast network, and what we talk about is integrity of journalism. Now, journalists, they have the right to investigate. They have the right to ask questions. Doesn't mean that they have the right to be answered. And when you're approaching a world leader, one of the G7 leaders, I don't think it's a wise idea. A few days ago, the Haitian president got killed. I don't think it's a wise idea just to approach a world leader with a security detail. Listen, I'm not a 6 feet type of guy, but you should at least give, and I don't like Justin, but you should at least give him his space. You want to ask him stuff? Ask him stuff. I don't think she got manhandled. Trust me, manhandled is nowhere near in that equation. I think Rebel Media is just trying to stir up a little bit more drama for takes, I guess. But hey, they're the only hardcore conservative outlet we got right now.
It's all we got right now. It really is all we got. I mean, there's True North News, but
they don't really pick up steam like them.
Yeah, and I hate to use the kind of cliche term cucked, but it really does feel like anybody who is not a pro-UN, pro-globalist ideology, pro-globalist policy, anybody who isn't that is just completely like without a paddle, like completely cucked, like, oh, well, whoa, what are we going to do? They're going to call us names. We can't do anything. What are we supposed to do? Whoa.
I won't get elected next election cycle. That's what they're thinking. Or, you know?
Well, I mean, they have no ground to stand on.
They don't really,
Yeah, like, and if you look around the world where countries who have stood on some sort of ground, it usually has to do with this sort of right-wing populism, they're calling it, which is very nationalistic, usually in one way or another. And of course, they all get called racist.
Racist.
Herman, you're not a racist, are you?
How could I be a racist? I love all people and all races. I'm Jewish, white, black. It doesn't matter. I'm transracial now. I identify as all races.
Someone in the chat was calling you a transracial Karen, actually.
Jesus Christ! How could I be a transracial Karen? I'm not even Karening today. I'm not Karen today. Hence the hat. Hence the hair. I'm not Karen today. But let's move on to the news article of the assassination of the president. Let me just read this through.
You don't have to stay in character the whole show, but
hey, Herman the Hemorrhoid Harry will be here for this show.
Okay.
So
let's get into this Haiti president story.
The assassination of the Haitian president Jovenel Moïse plunged the Caribbean country into upheaval Wednesday, a nation that was already in crisis over alarming violence, poverty, and political instability. Haiti's security force Thursday continued battling a group of gunmen suspected of killing the president in his home overnight, leaving him and his wife, Martine Moïse, critically wounded. So far, security forces have killed 4 of the mercenaries linked to the assassination. So this is kind of an interesting story, because if I'm the president of any country, you have no jurisdiction here. They basically said that they were American DEA agents. And they said open up, and they were speaking English. Some of them were speaking Spanish.
Or you're talking about these mercenaries.
Quote unquote mercenaries, yeah.
Okay.
And what happened was, like...
But wait, where did you hear this part?
It was all over the news. Yeah, it's basically, there's a video out of them screaming, open up, DEA, right? And that's an American agency, a task enforcement agency for drugs, you know? So, what are you doing at the Haitian president's house? That's already kind of fishy. Who opened the door for them? Where was his security? Seems kind of too neatly packaged. And then they found 24 of them of the hitmen. How many hitmen do you need to take out a guy? You know what I mean? You guys
We found
and
2
get
dozen
caught.
dudes.
And a swap out with the Haitian police. 7 dead. Apparently 2 were American. A great deal of them. I think 2 dozen of them were Colombian ex-commandos. So if you don't go with what we say, you will get taken out. He's had a very rocky political year. They wanted him out of office. There's the world's, how should I say, the most amount of NGOs in the world are in Haiti due to all the crises, the natural disasters, the earthquakes, still unmanageable to this day. And a lot of those NGOs hold sway and power within Haiti, so we don't know what's going on, you know?
I mean, it's definitely interesting. I saw a TikTok video on it. Hi, TikTok. And they were talking about how the Haitian people have a real connection to nature and this sort of thing, right? So I could see why, and to use the term, the popular
Nature or
term,
voodoo?
Shamanism.
Shamanism?
Shaman being a druid. I don't know, but you can see why. Being vaccine hesitant could be a natural thing for Haitians, if that's true, if that is like part of their culture, being connected with nature, because it's like the UN or whoever coming in, Fauci coming in with his syringes to be like, hey guys, this is what you need.
Yep.
You don't need this fresh air. You need these syringes, shots in arms, okay? And I mean, we don't have to go too deep into the whole vaccine business, but the way it's being promoted is very, very aggressively. If there's any term to like describe the way that the vaccine is being promoted, it's aggressive. What style of promotion? It's aggressive promotion, and it's all over the place. But really, this is a great commercial for the vaccine. Are you vaccine hesitant? Well, let me tell you what happens to the vaccine hesitant. This is the president of Haiti. He was vaccine hesitant. Now he's dead. Get your vaccine today.
Crazy. I got another one for you. Are you COOF or COVID hesitant and reluctant to believe in the mass hysteria? Are you a president of a foreign nation, not Haiti? This time we'll speak on Tanzania. Are you one to suggest that the testing for COVID positive tests are inaccurate? Did you swab a papaya and a goat and hand it into the World Health Organization and they still said that it tested positive for COVID? Did you disagree with the World Health Organization? Are you now dead? That's also the second. That's 2 world leaders dead in a matter of few months, 4 months. They were against vaccinations and stuff like that.
Disagreeing with the UN, number 1 cause of death for presidents. Forget COVID. Disagreeing with the UN, that's a huge cause of death. Scientists are looking into like the medical reason why that is, but disagreeing with the UN, it's a really deadly thought process. It's a mind virus. It just shuts down your whole system, and then like magically all these like hitmen are like, oh my god, we need to go kill this guy. It's a really terrible disease, disagreeing with the UN. Wrong think? Woo!
Oh,
Bad stuff.
Edgy DTV has said, do you know someone who's hesitant? Please call the vaccine hesitancy hotline. Sorry about that.
Hello? Yeah, there's someone who doesn't want to get the shot. Take them out myself? I have permission? Okay, great.
You won't
Perfect.
take.
I'll do that. That's great.
You won't
I was planning on doing it anyway, so that's.
You won't take me alive. you vaccine commie. You know what I mean?
Dude, it's getting crazy out there. It's like that quote from that movie. It's getting crazy out there. It's getting crazy. But the wig is. I'm getting a little comfortable now. I thought we were just gonna do it for like a quick few minutes.
Okay.
Are we done or no?
I'm gonna stay
is
in
this
character.
Herman or is this Dat Buzz?
This is Dat Buzz now. I'll keep the hair on.
You're gonna keep it on? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we'll switch back to Dat Buzz. I was just trying to make people laugh today.
We gotta laugh. If you didn't know, this is Dat Buzz TV.
Greg Wycliffe.
And this is Project Canada, episode 7.
Episode 7.
And we have a new channel in the link in the description down below. Subscribe to the new channel. We need 1,000 subscribers to live stream there, so we're working on that. And if you want to donate, there's actually an entropy link down there. Entropy is great because more of the money goes into our pockets, and YouTube takes away a lot of money. Shout outs to Mr. Chris Burke for pushing me to do that today. It only took a few minutes, so I really appreciate it. I don't know. I hope it's set up. I don't know if it's properly set up or not. But anyway, we'll figure that out another time. Is there anything else we should talk on when it comes to the Haitian president, or did you think we pretty well?
We pretty well covered it.
It's
the whole reason for me to bring
sketch.
the whole reason for me to bring that up is because it's mad sketch, and I've been wondering in Canada how come there's no pushback at all from any politicians. So it kind of got me kind of suspicious, right? And I'm wondering, we have opposition provincially or even federally. We have what do you call it? All the tools that we need to display all the facts and evidence on what's going on, because we have the data now. It's been over a year, right? And there's no pushback. So it's been kind of odd. And then I kind of correlated this story of the Haitian president getting taken out for like a life lesson for all politicians across the world. Do not go against the narrative. That's it.
Yeah, and it's like it's kind of funny when you look at the behavior of our politicians across the board. It's like no wonder they're acting so in lockstep. No wonder they're so full of fear and terrified. It's like maybe there's someone, colloquially or like metaphorically with a gun to their head to say like, hey, if you do not promote this vaccine, then you might disappear in the middle of the night.
Yep.
We're just speculating. We're not
here.
But if you follow me, you may have seen this that I posted today. It's a silly little TikTok of John Tory here. Should we move this up a bit so you can
Move
see
it up. Yeah.
I'll try to get the sound working so you guys can hear it, but kind of it's the same idea basically.
Well,
What the hell is this? Stop! You want to see your family again, right, John?
Yes, sir.
Yeah? Do you? You don't want that? I didn't think so. More smiling, more energy.
But seriously, like this guy, like look at this man. Like he looks like a shadow of a man. I don't know. He looks like he doesn't want to be there.
Yeah.
It's hard to watch. It's really hard to watch. Like,
cringe-tastic.
Like literally dancing like a monkey. You know what I mean? Like, come on.
Like, he's not even doing the dance properly. What was that?
And like I made this because my initial reaction to this was like, I feel bad for him. Like I actually feel like is he being held hostage?
Is he okay?
Like are you okay? John,
Blink twice.
That was gonna be my original TikTok, and then I decided to kind of take it up a notch with that. Yeah, I mean I think that's a great connection, kind of back to Canada, of like this guy who happened to be against vaccines it just so happened.
It happened to die.
Just a coincidence, just a big coincidence. I guess
It's crazy. It's a way to keep a lot of other people in check. Because if a world leader can get it, who are you? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's it's very reasonable to talk about, I think, especially if you're kind of like in the world that we're in, because some people are still thinking it's all about health and safety. They don't think it's about tyranny control. No, they think it's about health and safety. And it's okay, well, we have nothing to talk about then. I guess you're just gonna, there's John Tory on TikTok pushing people to get their shot.
Get your jab.
Okay. All right, then. What do you think, Herman? What do you think?
I think somebody's burning churches.
Yeah, they sure are. They sure are.
I don't know who, and I don't know why. It's just pretty sus.
I heard they caught somebody, I don't know where, some rural part of Canada, but it turns out they caught somebody and they couldn't disclose who they were because they were underage, apparently. But even if it is some young, disgruntled Indigenous person,
Do we know if it's indigenous that burnt it?
Well, no, but even if it was, is this really something that we should be like letting happen? You know, it's like it's so obviously.
Isn't that a hate crime?
It absolutely it is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's only happening to Catholic churches. It's only happening to people who worship Jesus.
But God forbid if you ever like burn down a mosque or even spray paint something wild on a synagogue.
Oh boy,
you'd hear about it everywhere.
We would never hear the end of it.
No,
we would never hear the end of it.
I think Christians and like I'm not Christian, but like I think Christians are an easy scapegoat right now. And I don't think it has to do anything with those individual local churches. More or less, take it up with the Catholic Church. Take it up with the papacy in Rome. Take it up with Justin Trudeau and the Liberal government. You know what I mean? Don't burn anything down, but you guys have systems of outlet and outreach. And, yeah, you command a lot more attention in this country than I do, being an immigrant, you know, being a settler, I guess.
Yeah.
Because I settled down here for my own safety, but I digress.
Yep.
Yeah. But
so
these churches that have been burning, like, is it those specific churches that had these residential schools? Is it like, are they linked to them, or is just random churches being burnt?
Well, I haven't looked too deep into this, only because there's always like another story. There's always another church that's been burnt down, and it's like
it's just too much. Yeah,
it's just too much to like look into. But I think the really kind of disturbing pattern is almost like they're sitting duck churches. They're churches in like small town,
rural, out of
country,
the way,
somewhere like, you know,
not like right here in Toronto,
Alberta, Saskatchewan. Like,
yeah.
Well, yeah, but maybe in like northern Ontario, or like, you know, even drive an hour in some direction outside of Toronto, and you know, you'll find some small dwellings with a church that is like doesn't have security at night, obviously.
Yeah.
And
trust the community to not do anything to it.
And it's like if I was young and disgruntled, thinking, yeah, I feel like committing arson, you know what I mean? The thing is like, that's obviously a bad intention to have to begin with. But if a young disgruntled person is seeing this happen and seeing absolutely no consequences to anyone whatsoever, then that is just a huge push to be like, oh, okay, yeah, I mean, there's not going to be any consequences for this. This will just be fun. And it's like, I never did egging. I never egged houses when I was young.
Yeah.
But I had friends who did. And never. I disavow. No egg. No egging never happened.
Damage of property.
I did not touch the egg. I wasn't there. I wasn't.
I mean, I've done that in Halloween.
I did buy the eggs, but
I've done that on Halloween. I've egged the house on Halloween and threw what do you call it, toilet paper all over their lawn and trees and stuff like that.
Canceled. Dad Buzz TV egged a house when he was 14. Canceled. But the point is like, you know, this is obviously a much more extreme version. Arson, tearing down or burning down a church. But there's no. You know what? Maybe it's.
What if there was somebody sleeping in that church? Like, how would you know that? You know.
It's the burning down.
The burning down of a building. It doesn't even matter. Yeah,
you know, like
destruction of property.
Yeah.
But to add on to it, it's a religious symbol, so that adds on to the quote unquote hate crimes in Canada. Now, like,
and the thing is that's crazy is Dan Dix, who's like an independent journalist. Shout out Dan Dix. He did an interview. I think it was in BC. I'm hoping it was in BC because the people he was talking to were kooky crazy, and there's a lot of kooky crazy people in BC, in Vancouver specifically.
Must be in the air. Must be the weed growing.
But they're all high all the time.
Even the ones that don't smoke, it's just because there's a high density of like marijuana plants growing that it's just in the air. It's in the water. It's the chronic.
Everything's an edible all of a sudden.
Everything's
edible. Even the
edible.
baby food is like, oh yeah, we have the THC edibles.
You go to McDonald's. You go to McDonald's.
Baby.
You're getting quarter pounder with bacon with oil of cannabis oil or something.
2024, I could see
BC.
that. I could see that.
BC, you guys are actually making us look bad.
I'm stoned as fuck.
Oh,
you know, it's like the new McDonald's high burger. I'm stoned burger.
Stone burger.
I would maybe go to McDonald's again for that. Just kidding. I don't do that.
No.
Anyway, so Dan Dix is interviewing these people about the churches burning, and there was a lot of these what you would imagine, these kind of like hostile, I want to say kind of normies or leftists who are like, well, yeah, it's the symbolism, like it's justified, it's the symbolism, and
there's a lot of symbolic things that we can rip down, right? But it doesn't make sense. There's ways to go about it, right?
I think we've talked about this before.
With the statues before, yeah.
The statues and like the trains that are painted rainbow. It's a very shallow sort of thing to think like, ooh, we destroyed a symbol.
What does it accomplish? Does it help anybody? Does it move your your thing forward, your movement forward? No, it doesn't. All it does is just cause destruction. You're on the news, and that's it. And people just talk about the destruction. We don't really talk about the destroyed lives that happened to these indigenous children before that, or these people that before that. And if you want to hit them really where it hurts, you rename things like in Montreal, the airport, Pierre Elliott Trudeau Airport, because he opened up 4 new schools. You guys should protest that, especially the indigenous community in that area, the Mohawks. They should protest that. They should really take down, like, target where your pain is, because you have justified pain.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean you burn down this country and burn down like places of worship and hurt people and target things. You don't go on your neighbor's lawn and rip down his Canadian flag or put like red mark on it. Like, these are type of things that don't move the dialogue forward, because what you want is to have justice for these children, and you want to move the dialogue forward, but you can't move the dialogue forward when you're burning down everything, just like Black Lives Matter. I don't agree with Black Lives Matter, and what I've noticed was half of the people that were in Black Lives Matter, especially in Toronto, weren't even black. It was just like everybody and their mama, you know what I mean? Like, it was an Antifa, and I guarantee you they're probably not even, you cannot count 5 black people in all of Antifa in Toronto. I can guarantee you that, probably. You get what I'm saying? Like,
you mean all of Black BLM?
No. I mean, like, within like the Antifa structure, these anarchists within BLM, right?
Yeah. Okay.
You won't find, like, at least in Toronto, at least. I'm not gonna be talking about the States, because the States is another ball game. But in Canada, they boarded up a lot of downtown stores, and nobody has like burnt down anything. We've had protests for BLM.
Yeah.
You know, and what I'm trying to get at is, it's just right now we've all become professional protesters in some degree. You know what I mean? Like, generally speaking, where there's the cause, go out, march, get some Instagram photos, say that you've done something, pat each other on the back. We're the revolution.
Thank you so
We're the
much.
revolution.
Thank you. I did so much.
We're the revolution, and it will not be televised because shoot, it's all over the internet, right? You know.
Well, or maybe the twisted irony is that the revolution is televised, and it's like these people destroying their own neighborhoods, destroying their own society, and it's like a revolution. It's like, no, this is like
I'd like to counter that.
This is a like corporate takeover,
I like
a
the
technocratic takeover.
You're
where
right.
Who does this benefit? It benefits Jeff Bezos.
You're not on
We're
the
rioting for Jeff Bezos.
You're not on the side of
Supreme
revolution.
Power for Jeff.
No.
Like, really, what is the end result? But you're right. It has become this trendy white person thing.
Yeah.
BLM and da-da-da. Oh, man.
If you guys really want to hit them where they hurt, you tell these politicians you're not voting for them, the ones that are in office. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You literally shake the tree, you know?
Yeah. And I think you nailed it earlier, where it's like, you know, it's not moving the conversation forward, and the energy and attention is not going towards the right thing at all.
You're going
to put all of your hate and vitriol just towards the church? Like, that's your
end all be all?
That's it?
That's it? Burn down the church, end all be all. Now we've solved the problems of generational trauma by just burning down the church.
I hate to say it so bluntly, but it's kind of like a hissy fit child reaction. Just like, we're gonna burn it down, rah!
Definitely is.
And it's like, no, let's look deeper. Let's look a little bit deeper into this and see who you should be really mad at. And you were saying before the cameras turned on, you know, the Indian Act is still going on, and that's quite literally never been brought up.
The Indian Act. You guys want to fight something? Fight the Indian Act that has you shackled and chained and put on reserves. You get what I'm saying? But you still have a double tier system where you get the benefits and privileges that other Canadians don't get by just being born native with their status symbol, right? Which I don't agree on any type of privilege. I don't care if it's native privilege. I don't care if it's Quebecois Francais privilege. And I don't care if it's like refugee immigrant privilege. I don't care if it's white privilege. All kind of privileges. We all have different kinds of privileges. But what I'm seeing is it's counterproductive to the greater good of Canadian society, right? We have different laws for native people. There's native courts in Ontario. So if I quote unquote commit a crime, jaywalking, punch somebody, slap somebody, I'm going to Provincial Court of Ontario. If a native person does it, he's going to native court. And then they have these tribunals where it's just
it's a different
type of court, and it's more or less catch and release for them.
I didn't even know about
this. It's like a catch and release type thing. I think we've got a super chat.
Super chat from Viking Insane for $5. Thank you, Mr. Viking Insane, or Mr. or Miss. I don't want to assume your gender.
Don't assume the gender.
I wish I didn't say that. Sorry. Decadence has ruined us. We are running on the fumes of Western civilization, and people take their first world freedoms for granted.
True.
We are a nation of spoiled brats. Facts. That's quite accurate, unfortunately.
That kind of...
And it goes in line with what you were just saying, because privilege this, privilege that. Why don't we focus on the opportunities we have? Why don't we focus on progress? Again, I don't like that word, but like moving the conversation forward, actually talking about productive solutions. This is really basic stuff, but I feel like the environment of fake news or propaganda that we're bombarded with, and all we see are these propped up, incompetent politicians, that we don't see the obvious solution, which is, well, first of all, recognizing that this is propaganda, recognizing that these people are incompetent crooks, and actually starting to have the conversation for ourselves. The first step is like kind of rejecting a lot of this bullshit that's fed to us.
Yeah.
And like doing our own problem solving, which really sucks because the media and politicians are supposed to be doing that.
Exactly.
Okay, that's your job.
That's why we pay you our tax dollars. That's
Literally your job.
You only have one job. One job.
Yeah. And what are you doing? You're just lining your pocket, just lining your pockets, and it's disgusting to watch. Mm-hmm. It's disgusting. What are you doing? This is what they're doing.
Bro, it's gotten so bad.
This is what our politicians are doing right here. Wow! Oh my God, John Tory! Oh my God, that's so cool.
Throw up Drag Me Scene if you can.
What, his like little laugh?
His new like TikTok where he's just like ha 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 ha. How are you doing that when like you're voting with Justin Trudeau? But anyways, I don't want to touch on a different subject. Let me get back to residential schools. Let me get back to burning churches. Mm-hmm. What I'm trying to say is, I don't like the Indian Act. Why are you calling it the Indian Act? You're not Indian, first and foremost. It's kind of racist. It's like saying the Negro Act. Like, it's kind of outdated, the terminology, Negro Act, of like, blah, 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 blah. So the Indian Act.
That's a pretty good comparison.
And at the same time, they're living in a first world apartheid state because they're in reserves. It's not like they can't come into like the cities or into Canadian civilization.
Right.
But they have a 2-tier system, you know what I mean? And I think RCMP, can they go into some reserves? No, they have their own police. They police themselves, right?
So this is the thing for me. I don't even know.
Yeah.
And it's such a big basket of things to talk about.
It is.
And it's just like, no, we're burning churches.
Burning churches.
We're just burning churches.
It's got so bad
we don't care
that we have communist Chinese looking down on Canada and saying, how dare you Canadians talk about us? Do you not see the indigenous lives that you have on the bodies that they're finding? You cannot talk about Yuga. You cannot talk about Hong Kong.
Yeah.
And you cannot talk about Taiwan until you get your house in order. You take a one dawa and you get another dawa and you want to talk to me? No good.
And then the Canadian's like, hey, well, what about the Uyghur? And then it's just whoosh.
What about the Uyghurs? I'm going to bring up the Uyghurs. What about the Uyghurs, though? You Canadian, you have a native children live under the ground. You won't talk to us. No.
It's accurate. Don't worry, guys. He's like Russell Peters. It's the same thing. He's hilarious, so it's totally...
It is. It's my bit, yeah. It's my comedy.
We're messing around, okay?
And then, like, bro, we need, like, as every Canadian's duty, if you're on the social justice stuff, you especially the warriors out there. I'm not talking about us, right? But I'm talking about like these hippie dude la la. Every time there's protest, they collect the banners. Black Lives Matter. They collect the banners. Palestinian Lives Matter.
Yeah.
They collect the banners. Protect all Asian lives. They get the banners. Native lives. But why won't you protect Canada, the Canadian society that built this foundation for you? Because you would not have all these luxuries of Western civilization if you were living in, let's just say, Saudi Arabia. Let's just say if you were living in even some European countries. You know what I mean? Like, you basically have as little freedom as they give you, which is kind of alarming because most of the world's not free. The one last bastion of freedom. Bastion, my bad. Yeah. I said basket, I think.
That's Baskin and Robbins.
Well, I'm a Baskin and Robbins. I'm a basket case, you know? But the one last bastion of freedom is the US of A right now. But what it is all these communists, maybe not even communists, maybe globalists. I like to be more accurate. I'm probably outdated when I say communists because we're not living our dad's war. We're living a new war, right?
Yeah, and it seems to be a fusion too, right?
Yeah, it's crazy.
People talk about wanting socialism, but
I think some entities across the globe that don't like us are eroding our freedoms from within, are making us hate our own country. You have never seen such hatred for the land that we've lived on when we're absolutely more superior than any other civilization. Western civilization right now is. It gives men, women, or whatever you want to identify as nowadays the freedom to do so.
Opportunity.
Look at me. I'm a transracial man. I'm a black guy. I'm a white guy trapped in a black guy's body. God damn it.
Yeah, think about that, guys.
Think about that for a sec.
Think about that for a
I
second.
was born white and privileged. And now
you had the freedom
people are telling
to
me
choose to be transracial and embrace who you truly are.
Do you know how many times I've got carted by Toronto police just for going to the grocery store? I had to tell them, hey, officer, check your privilege. I'm white too. Look, he squinted. Sorry about that. I thought you were one of those other fellas. Carry along.
This is the struggle.
It's the struggle
of Herman Hemorrhoid.
Herman Hemorrhoid.
You know,
I've started to just keep my white privilege card on me now, so that way no one can erode it. You know? My white privilege card. You see?
But I think along those lines, I feel like the point is this: like being carded, right? In the hemisphere of where we're living, of like university culture permeating like how we think about the world, they basically say, I don't care if all these countries are uninhabitable. I don't care if there's like systemic racism, violent oppression, all these things happening all in the other world. This person got carded, so that is like the worst thing ever. You know what I mean? Like how there's this comparison of, well, yeah, everything that's happening outside of this country, I don't really care about that. This one thing that's happening here, that is the most...
Carding is bad, though. Carding is really bad because it opens the gate for law enforcement to infringe on your rights. You might think, okay, well, what they're doing is good. They're cleaning up the streets from gun violence and gang violence, and any random person that they're suspicious of an activity, you stop. Show me your papers.
Right.
Which kind of sounds kind of shitty, right? Doesn't matter who's going through it, because that opens the door for them to do it to you, because it's legally allowed.
That's true. Maybe they'll bring it back with the COVID vaccine.
They're doing.
I guess they're doing their own version of it, which is like
definitely your vaccine passport.
Are you vaccinated?
Are you vaccinated?
Can we see your papers, please? It's just for health and safety. That's all.
Herr Doctor, I need to see your paper. I can't do a German accent for the life of me. I was trying to say your papers.
We must see your papers.
We must see your papers.
It's for your health and safety. But
for your health and safety.
We got another super chat from Viking Insane, right along the lines of what you were talking about. He says, human rights, as we know it, originated with Western civilization. If we burn it all down, as the BC Civil Liberties Association recommend, more abuse is inevitable.
Oh yeah, more trampling on like people's rights. And I kind of feel it because like God knows that like certain laws are put in place to target certain individuals sometimes, right? And you don't notice that. But carding predominantly hurt black people. It didn't affect anybody else, maybe like native, indigenous people, but it affected black people in the inner cities. And that just opens up the door to erode your rights as any other race you are. Because when you look at it, like, if you don't care about your own citizens and your own countrymen, right, then one day law enforcement will knock on your door and tell you, you know what I mean? Like, we have a precedent already for this, so who are you? You know what I mean? We've done this to other Canadians. Nobody's special. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So that's why we got to nip it in the butt before it grows. But back to burning of churches. So if you want to burn down the system, burn down the Indian Act, because it's actually racist to call Native people Indian, quote unquote. There's different treaties for different natives. So that means it's not one umbrella blanket fits all natives in Canada. It's literally tailored specific to certain communities and certain groups as time went along, as settlers moved further out west. Yep, right? Yep. Mm-hmm. But why is it still in place? And why don't they go to their chiefs? And why do your chiefs have inherent leadership? It shouldn't be going on like that in a Western developed society. And why are you living in a reserve? We want you to be in Canadian society. We want a one-tier system for everybody, especially those damn French mofos. Je ne peux pas, c'est quoi, sacre bleu. I'm tired of it. I don't want nobody going to school to learn French unless they wanna. You get what I'm saying? What do you even know French? You've studied it throughout school. You don't even know how to like navigate with it, right?
Je connais un peu français.
Parler un petit français. Je n'ai pas. You know, I think the best I said was like, "Can I go to the washroom?" Because my teacher would never allow me to use the washroom unless I said it in French. I'm like,
I don't think I kind of like how the system has been, where you learn a little bit of French in public school, and then you kind of have the option to keep learning it.
Why French?
I think there's.
This is not a French territory.
When
Canada's not a French country.
Yeah, but you realize in schools they're like trying to like teach people that like math is racist and stuff.
No, it's because
like learning another language is at least good for your brain.
It's because the politicians want to keep Quebec in Canada. If we start neglecting Quebec, right? Yeah, then we're gonna have another country at our doorstep. You know what I mean? Referendum after referendum. You know what I mean? Like, what I'm trying to get at is the French are actually more privileged than me and you because they get higher paying jobs anywhere they go because they speak bilingual, which is good, right? If you learn a skill or a trade, or if you grew up with this, you should be able to be paid more. But what I'm saying is, like, they're not learning, like, you know, all our histories of English and all that stuff properly. They know it, but it's not getting shoved down their throat. Well, we have it. French and English is equally printed in equal font at equal sizes. Over there in Quebec, the French font is like huge, and then the English, even if it's there, it's
maybe that's
the fine print.
It definitely is a one-way street.
Equalization has effed us over.
Yeah, and it's like it's kind of an abusive relationship because English-speaking Canadians will bend over backwards to try and be more French or something, and the French will be like, "This is not enough, pathetic Anglo, like get out of here, tabarnak." It's
excuse me, sir. Which way
the more we try, the more they just say no, it's not good enough.
Excuse me, sir. I'm a tourist, and I was just wondering which way to Rue des Gatineaux. Ha 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 ha! Tu ne parles français? I will not answer your question. You know what I mean? Literally.
It happens.
At least in France, at least in Paris, France, they'll speak to you in English. They're not that arrogant. They'll be like, okay.
I don't know about that.
No, they're not. They'll speak to you if they can't speak to you. They're not gonna be. If you don't speak French, then I will not speak to you back. It's literally a Quebec problem. It's a Quebec problem.
I don't know, man. I think it comes from France. I think the Quebec problem has come. There's something about French people.
No. The French don't need to preserve the French don't need to preserve their culture and whatnot. Quebec wants to preserve their culture. That's why they have.
I think France wants to preserve their culture.
No, they do, but it could be preserved. It's like saying England's culture cannot be preserved at this point. No, we've reached the point where France's culture will be preserved for the next few hundred years, if not, right?
I don't know, man. With
due to colonialism, due to like how many countries speak French, outside of France.
Yeah, but
right?
French, the language, is not the same as the culture.
The culture, you're right.
Yeah.
But do you think France has changed culture? Well, actually, yes, it kind of has due to mass immigration. I get it. But like culturally, the everyday French citizen is pretty much, I don't know. It's pretty much not. It's not radically changed the country, France. Like Quebec, they have laws in place where they won't allow. Let me just touch on this. Quebec, they have laws in place where they don't allow a certain amount of immigrants into their province, and it's the only province that's allowed to do that.
Sure.
In Canada, you can have freedom of movement anywhere if you touch down. You know what I mean? But in Quebec, they'd be like, you know what, residency to take up here. Do you know French? First and foremost.
Yeah, but there's also been the origin of yellow vest protests in Paris, in France, which is basically like huge, massive disagreements with the French government's doing, mass migration being one of those things, right? So to say that, like, just because there isn't some sort of policy that dictates that they're against mass migration doesn't mean that the actual French people who are there aren't upset with it. Because, like, those yellow vest protests before COVID, like, they were doing that every fucking like over
weekend after weekend.
There was a lot of upset Frenchmen, and I just, for me, it's like I don't even understand the mind of a Quebecois person, let alone, I'm not going to make any assumptions about someone who's from France or in Paris, because I'm sure they have their
own thing going on,
basket of idiosyncrasies or whatever.
Of BS going on, yeah.
That being said, when it comes to burning churches, there is a lot, there has been a lot of burning churches in France as well, if I'm not mistaken. Like Notre Dame burned down. But that's just kind of like another parallel in terms of what we're talking about, burning churches. And why France is losing one religious building every 2 weeks? This is from May 2021.
I just thought of something. I'll take your burning churches and raise you one. I'm going to start a petition to change the name of the Montreal airport. And let's name it after... I don't know, like...
George Floyd.
No. Come on.
George Floyd Airport in Canada.
Let's name it Mohawk Airport.
Let's name it BLM Airport.
No, Mohawk Airport. Let's name it something that has to do with the indigenous people there.
Let's name it Residential School.
You know what I'm saying? Listen, if you are so caught up in these churches and the Canadian government, not the Canadian population, the Canadian government, the liberal government, of erasing your history and your identity, right? Why don't you swap one out for another? Swap out. I will trade any day not to see Justin Trudeau's dad's name on a building if you could just swap it out for another good Canadian. You know what I mean? Random citizen. Let's just do random citizens. You know what I mean? That have done something for our society locally. You know what I mean?
Let's talk about. Let's wrap up the churches here. But this is boss of CV.
Boss of BC.
Mr. Viking Insane brought this up. He alluded to this, and it's a good point to bring up. Boss of BC Civil Liberties Association claims "burn them all down" tweet taken out of context, which is hilarious. This is the Harsha Walia, the executive director of the BC Civil Liberties Association, claims she was taken out of context when she tweeted "burn them all down" in response to torching Catholic churches across the country. What sort of out of context?
Do you know what that reminds me of?
What?
I don't know. Have you watched Game of Thrones?
I haven't.
Do you know a bit about Game of Thrones?
I haven't. I'm sorry.
Okay, so the Mad King, right? In the beginning, this is just the prequel before the story starts.
Okay.
He's about to lose the war, right? And the armies are coming into King's Landing, the capital, and they surrounded him. And his last ditch effort, he has like a whole bunch of like wildfire, like it's just their version of like dynamites that like, you know what I mean? But wildfire, right? And he hid it all under the city. And then they're approaching, so he's like, burn them all! Burn them all! I don't care! If I'm gonna go, then this whole system's coming down with me. Burn them all! You know what I mean? Like, self-destruct, basically. It's like the nuclear option. So what I'm seeing with these, I was gonna say commies, right? But let me be a little bit more delicate. These mass hysteria providers of information just want us to be chickens with our heads cut off, with no direction, no aim, just get mad, just get emotional, burn them all down, burn them to the ground. Doesn't make no sense. What do we accomplish by committing crimes and acts of violence towards specific groups of people within our country? Because we became a nation of tribes.
Yeah.
We became a nation of tribes.
Exactly.
There are some parts in this country that people will not speak English to you. And I'm not even dissing the French now. It's not even nothing to do with the French now. There are some parts in this country where you can go to Tim Hortons and nobody will even understand what the hell you're talking about when you're asking them for an order. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't have that problem in Starbucks, by the way. Just saying. I'm just saying. There's a different ball game we're playing right here. You know what I mean?
Man.
And like, dude, there's some places like you walk into a bank. It's not English. It's not French. Is this Mandarin or Cantonese? What the hell? You know what I mean? Like,
The post-national state that we are.
it's a post-national state. We've become a nation of tribes. Get it for your tribe. That's what they want. They want us to. It's easier to conquer people or to like rule over a nation when we're all divided. When the powers that be say, "Hey, listen, you're transracial, but you'll never be white like Greg." You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I'm just joking about that. But they'll be like, "Yo, like you're black, you're white, you're native, you're this, you're that." They just want us to see our differences instead of seeing the similarities of like, "Yo,
Yeah.
we're like." We've been paying taxes
Yes,
and like we're giving other countries money and our roads are like looking like potholes and
Ash,
everying like
yeah.
ash.
We got
You know what I mean?
ass roads.
Ash roads.
Our roads
You know?
are ass, and they're telling us to fight with one another. That's gonna help.
Yeah.
Burning down churches.
Burning down
Why
churches.
burning down churches will help anything at all? But you're
Yeah.
right. The tribalism is coming back in a big way, and like cultural Marxism. People have talked about this. That this is like the plan to
Yeah.
divide and conquer people. And I mean, things like critical race theory are like a good example of that
Yeah.
because it's like solutions and solving a problem, moving the conversation forward. It's just like, no, wait, who's black, who's white, who's gay, who's straight? Hold on, we need to figure out our identities first. We're not going to actually work on this blueprint to save the country. No. We need to talk about sex politics.
Oh wait, you're applying for university? What box did you tick off? What race?
Uh-oh.
You're applying for grants, benefits? What box? What race?
Well, I just want to be an engineer. I have pretty good grades. It's about my grades, isn't it? Isn't it about my grades for my application?
I'm sorry, dear white man. We have enough white people in this class.
But I have a 4.0 GPA. I was trying my hardest. So I just want to be an engineer.
Security, bring in the black people. More black people in this. I'm sorry, Asians. Also, you too. You have a lot of people that are overperforming. More black people, more native people in the university.
Wait, I'm gay now. Can I come in, please?
Hold on a sec.
Please.
He's not a cisgender white guy. He's gay. So
Yep.
okay. So since you said you were gay, sir, I think a spot's opened up for you in the school. You can also get a grant. Student tuitions have been paid off. Do you need anywhere to 50 grand here, actually. Hold that.
I was born this way.
Dude, the amount of like onion layered tier of privileges people are getting, and people are like I don't agree with like, you know, like if you have the smarts to be in a class or to have the grades to be in that class, I don't care what race. I don't think it's right for them to have a quota, a cap on Asian people to be in university. I don't think it's right to have a cap on white people and to, what do they call it again? I've hated this.
They call it positive discrimination. They call it affirmative action.
Affirmative action. I've hated that term so bad that I try to blank it out of my brain. You know what I mean? Because everywhere I go, people don't look at me as if I earned it, even though I've earned my position.
Yeah.
But because of affirmative action, they need to fill a quota for this company or whatnot or the school. Like I got other people looking at me like, you didn't deserve to be here, bro.
I don't understand
You know what I mean?
how like liberal white people can like not see the. It's not. I don't know if it's necessarily racism, but it's like the exact same energy. It's the exact same like flavor, right? Because it's like, if, for example, a corporation says, "Well, we need more black people working here," and it's like, you're black. Get over here. We want you.
Get over here.
Why? Because you're like just because you're
Scorpion,
black.
get over
It's like,
here.
What? This is crazy. It's so
crazy, yeah.
And it really sucks for even the people who get hired, or like the women get hired or whatever, because it's like
affirmative action.
I'm here because I'm a valuable member of the team, right? It's like
no, we picked you because we need a quota to fit.
Yeah, we got a quota.
And we might get, government...
We kind of resent you being here. We wanted the other guy.
And we could probably squeeze some special funding out of the government if we say we're hiring more people of a demographic. You know what I mean?
That's probably very real. It's probably being encouraged with grants and stuff like that. You know? Which is totally... just consider that. The government being like, hey, we will send you more government money if you make sure that you have a multicolored staff. And you need 25%
and multi-gendered.
25% for men, blacks, 25% gay.
Kind of like what Trudeau did with his cabinet when he first got elected. He's like, oh,
you know what they'll eventually
be the most diverse cabinet ever, and like 50-50 women, and
because it's 2015.
Because it's 2015.
Oh, that was the beginning of the end.
Yeah, that was the beginning of the end.
Of the end.
Cringe overload.
Yeah.
Ooh yeah. You know?
And I'm just thinking of this. It's something that's always on my mind.
Yeah.
But the despicable, useless, no morals people in our media who are just kind of playing along with like all this insanity going on. Do you think they genuinely believe it all and they're genuinely aligned with all these politics, or do you think they're just doing their job and they're kind of like the Haitian president of like, well, I don't want to get...
Are we talking about international media or Canadian media?
Canadian media.
Okay,
Canadian media.
Let's just say that you're the Prime Minister, Greg.
Okay.
And you give me a budget of $600 million annually a year. And that can
take this money.
Why,
make me look good. You better make me look good, okay?
Gotcha, boss.
There you go.
So in today's news, Justin Trudeau has had the most record amount of people that liked him today. And he's also been doing so great for Canada. You know? The dead bodies? What bodies? Shh. It wasn't him. It was somebody else. But, you know, he's such a great guy. Look at his hair. Look how...
The dead bodies.
Look how handsome. Did you have something to say?
I got a little...
Did you have something to say, great leader, dear leader Justin Trudeau?
I brought this plush toy, this little lion stuffed animal for the dead bodies of the Indigenous people because I care so much. I care so much.
What a great leader.
Now run the headlines.
What a great leader.
Yeah.
So, on today's news, Justin Trudeau cares.
Yeah, they totally bought it. It's great. They don't care at all about what my dad did whatsoever.
That paycheck. Thank you, Justin. I got your back.
Thanks. And scene.
Literally, right?
Oh, man.
Dude.
Okay, but I want to go back to something you said because it's a good segue into our last topic here, which is you talked about running around with our heads being cut off. Like, you know, we're warring with one another, we're burning churches, you know, we're resenting Christians, we're resenting the Indigenous, like, you know, we're just like at each other's throats, and it's being encouraged. It's basically like this state-funded thing to be as tribal as possible. And where is the meaningful leadership? Where is the meaningful resistance to this stuff? It's a pretty short list.
Viva la resistance!
Right, yeah.
Viva la resistance! No, there's no resistance. The people that are supposed to be resisting and opposing are literally voting with. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it's... we were talking about this before. Like, how unnatural is it to have the Liberal, NDP, Green Party, Bloc Québécois, all completely aligned with each other politically?
I've never seen
like,
this in the history.
This smells terrible.
No.
It smells like to high heaven.
Dude,
it reeks.
In the history of any government that has due process with elections and whatnot, do you think any country, just name, actually forget it, even a third world country, do you think opposition would just be like, you know what? El Presidente is right. He ain't wrong. And at the same time, we ain't got nothing to say, so we'll just go along with what... Yeah, go along with it.
I mean...
It's so sus. It's so fishy. Like, I've never seen
sus.
in the history, even of Canada, right? Like, last year, everybody was at each other's throats. The election cycle before that. Even between election cycles, Canadian conservatives hate each other. If there's ever a cause for... If a conservative says A, liberals will say C. If a liberal says B, a conservative will say like 1 + 1 = 5. You know what I mean? Like they are so against each other, but now it seems like they've all come together in a nice, neat little package, and they're saying. Well, opposition where? I agree with you. You agree with me. Vaccines.
Yeah. Hey, I'm going to get my pension after this election cycle. And we're
Shit,
all
I'm going to be elected regardless because
Yeah.
what are they going to do? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? You're going to vote me out of office? We've got Dominion now. Dominion machines, baby.
He's going there.
Even if we lose, we win. Oh, papa. Oh, cha-cha-cha-cha.
Oh, man. What a mess.
That's what I'm saying.
What a mess. And someone's called me out. They've called us out, rather, for
They've
not
called us
talking
out.
about this on the
About
show.
what?
Which is essentially, there was some sort of motion passed in Parliament like a few months ago that was like, okay, guys, we're not going to have an election until the pandemic is over. And everyone except for Derek Sloan was like, okay. So no more democratic elections.
So
until
throw away democracy until the coup has been explained.
Yeah,
Something that
yeah.
we're not even all dying from. Like we've had a year to talk about this. Mima's still alive. I don't know what you guys. Mama, joking. But what I'm saying is like, yo.
People say there's an election coming up, and I don't know if there's going to be one. You know what I mean? I think it could be a lot.
It's
of
a
hype.
way to steal the
'Cause
rug from under us.
Yeah, and I think you gotta understand, like, the regime, the Trudeau regime, is so efficient at propaganda, is so efficient at manipulating the narratives and like playing the Canadians like little puppets of like what to think about. They're like, oh, we're gonna lock down the province next month. So what do? Oh, they're having talks with doctors about a potential wave and they give them like the little breadcrumb, like anticipating the lockdown. They've become masters of this, especially in the past year. So whether or not there's going to be an election, I don't know. Will it even be a real election? That's a whole other question. What sucks so much about this country is, at least in the States, you have people with like a burning fire in their heart who are like, what? Like there might be a fake election going on? I'm pissed.
Miracle!
And I'm going to do something about it right now. I care. I'm going to go do whatever the hell I can to try to get to the bottom of this and let people know and blah, blah, blah. And here in Canada, there's so many people who are just like, well, are we going to go to the patio or no?
Are we allowed to even go to like the salons or the gyms?
Yeah. So like it's like get to the point. Like, am I going to be able to enjoy happy hour? Can I go up to the cottage and enjoy myself or not? That's really kind of the metrics in which I care about.
Someone on TikTok, Colin Casey Show. What was it? I said Colin. I mean, is that your name?
Colin.
Did I just call you a Colin? My bad. I gotta squint and read. Colin. I'm so sorry. But he said Trudeau. Sorry, Colin. Trudeau will win BC. We have no opposition. Yeah, like I guess. Like he's right. Like there is no opposition. They're all in cahoots.
It's brutal.
It's
really brutal. But I wanted to say, you were saying chickens running with their head cut off. Let's talk seriously about the actual like resistance or opposition in this country.
Viva la resistance!
Let's throw out the Conservative Party because I don't got a whole lot of faith in them.
Are we throwing the baby out with the bathwater now?
No. Aside from the Conservative Party,
okay,
because obviously they're there. They have this guy. I guess we should start with them. There's Aaron O'Toole, who I feel is like very uninspiring.
Aaron the Tool.
Very like.
Aaron
flat, and more importantly, like he's basically said, you know why we didn't do well in the last election? Because we didn't have a carbon tax plan. We didn't have like a climate change plan.
Are you kidding me?
That's what he said.
Is he bending the knee?
This was his big speech at the Conservative Party convention. He was like, you know why we didn't do well? You know why we didn't do well? Because we didn't have a climate change plan.
Talk about not like talking to your base.
Yeah, tone deaf, completely
like,
tone deaf.
Majority, 90% of your voters are going to be out without, like, know somebody that works in an industry where they need this to stay alive.
Yep.
And it doesn't matter. We can't get rid of oil and gas for the foreseeable future because everything that we use uses oil and gas.
Or it got here with oil and gas. It's crazy. So It's crazy. And it's not only that, because with everything happening with COVID, vaccine passports, with like the very identity of Canadians basically being snuffed out completely, we're a post-national state.
Yeah.
With all of this going on, he's also, the resistance, the opposition leader, is just abandoning any type of social control.
Why is he even the leader?
Completely abandoning it.
How do you
Well,
even
you said you mentioned Dominion earlier.
Yeah, but like it makes no sense. Why vote for him?
Because while we're on Dominion, the voting at the Conservative Party convention,
Something suspicious here.
dude, it took them like 5 hours to vote to count all the votes.
I feel like the
It
base.
was like, once again, smells terrible.
I feel like the base, like the conservative voting bloc,
Yep.
are being deceived, right? Because I don't think anybody really in their right mind would have had Aaron the Tool. I'm not saying O'Toole, the Tool, as the conservative leader. You know what I mean? There's a lot of good picks, like Sloan. There's a lot of good picks. Well, he's got kicked out, right? Of the conservative caucus. Randy Hilliard.
Yep.
That guy is that's a man's man. Randy Hilliard, like
Yeah,
for PM.
that's a Canadian man.
That's like
right there.
real Canadian guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
he's like he reminds me of like Bob the Builder. Like roll up your sleeves and get it done. Get her done. You know what I mean? Get her done. And I like that kind of energy. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, let's put it this way. Think of it this way. We are ready to vote for the opposition to this Trudeau regime. And with everything that the Conservative Party has done, well, not with everything, but with a lot of things they've done, it's like, I am so unenthused. I am like so like uninspired.
Where are we? Where
I
are
don't
we to
even
go?
want to be like, I'm not that
Where are we
eager.
to go?
Well,
Where?
They know that though. That
Where?
we know that we have no choice. The choice, of course, is the People's Party, the PPC with Max Bernier.
You mean the People's Party that got 3% of federal votes?
Was it 3%?
3%, yeah. And Maxime Bernier lost his seat.
Yep.
That People's Party?
That People's Party.
So I agree with a lot of things that the People's Party platform stands for, but the same kind of energy I will give to them that I give to these people that are burning down things. Where are you going with this? What's your objective? Because you're speaking to the people symbolically, but it doesn't correlate or translate into votes for some strange reason.
Well, what do you mean it doesn't translate into votes?
Well, I've got a
theory.
I've got a theory.
Because as much as people like to be critical of the PPC,
Yeah.
and I'm even one of those people. I ran as a candidate, by the way, in 2019. That's how I got into this political mess. As much as like there's valid criticisms for the PPC to be better, to be stronger, to be more effective, all this stuff.
Yeah.
They are in the political arena. They are organized.
They are challenging the
and they
status
are
quo.
like making it a valid federal party, which is they did accomplish like something historic in 2019 with the amount of votes in such a short amount of time. So to say that they're like kind of like like nothing, it's like no. They
No,
are
I'm not brushing
significant
them off.
in
I'm
terms-
saying they're significant. I'm saying it doesn't translate the way that we would like it to translate because we have a heavy conservative base. I remember before, like just before the election cycle,
Yep.
there was so much enthusiasm for PPC, right?
Right.
And my first time ever voting was for the People's Party of Canada, right? I've never voted before. You know what I mean? I have
There
my
you
own
go.
reasons, right?
There you go. You were inspired.
I was
You were
inspired.
excited.
But I'm like, what now? We went this far. 3%, okay. You lost your seat. I'm cool with that. We'll continue the fight, you know? Kings lose their castles every day, and in
But
history
what
we
now?
get it back.
You're
But what
right.
now?
Exactly.
Where
You're
do we
right.
go from
You're
here?
right. And back to your comment of running around with their heads cut off.
Mm-hmm.
There's been a lot of like, aside from the Conservative Party kind of sitting around with Aaron
Yeah.
O'Toole, there's been a lot of running around with our heads cut off outside of that
Yeah.
on the right wing. Max Bernier is, he's doing his thing. He's doing what he can, I guess. I feel like there's a lot more to be desired. There's Hillier, and then even Derek Sloan. He really had a kind of fiery start to when he got kicked out of the CPC, but even
Yeah.
recently he's kind of been playing it really, really safe. And here's the thing, folks, for anybody watching, if someone from the Derek Sloan camp is watching, like if you're deciding to play safe against the establishment, you've lost.
Because you're playing their game.
Yeah, like the only way that you are going to be featured in mainstream media is if they're calling you names, is if they're calling you, he's like
A bigot, a racist.
he's a pro-life
Yeah.
monster. That's like the very best thing they could possibly say about you is calling you some evil pro-life person, for example. And it's an uphill battle for us. And right now we're still kind of running around with our heads cut off, where we need to kind of like organize in some sort of meaningful way to Yeah, to even... And you know what sucks? It's like, is there any version of that really on the left wing? Just to kind of be more inclusive? Like, the NDP is there, but they're kind of like this farce of just kind of...
NDPs have been a joke since Mulcair. After Mulcair, it's been a joke.
Yeah.
I didn't really like a lot of their
Mulcair.
Mulcair.
Yeah.
I didn't like their policies. Mulcair. Yeah, I didn't like their policies before. It's Mulcair. M-U-L and
No
Claire.
way.
It's M-U-L, Mulcair.
No
We're going to take a
way.
bet. $5 bet. I'm going to bet
it's
Greg.
Mulcair. It's Mulcair. Yeah, $5.
Ooh, lost my 5. Okay, Mulcair.
Mulcair.
But like, I didn't really care for NDP. Like, I think back in the day, Leighton was a good guy for NDP, but because he resonated well.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that you got to be more of a people's person. I think Maxime Bernier, he's a great builder. He built a party from scratch, right?
Okay.
But he built the foundation. Mm-hmm. I think it's time for someone else to hold the reins, like Randy Hilliard or Derek Sloan, to take it further, because it would resonate with an Anglophone for the whole country as opposed to a Francophone, right?
I think you're right. I think like if there was some sort of synergy there, especially with Derek and Max, that would be a very
Derek and Max,
like
and then Randy if they got together, and then you just slap in.
Don't forget, Randy is a provincial MPP, right?
Yeah, but he can run for a provincial.
Can he?
As PPC, because he's not in. No.
Next
election.
Provincial.
Next election,
Oh,
he could be probably one of the first people to hold that office if he runs for provincial. There's enough backing there if we can get the municipalities and provincial instead of focusing on federal all the time.
I was just thinking, it's so sad though, because it's like these leftists who are thinking there could be change with NDP or Green if we go farther left. It's like you're still just emboldening and enabling like corporate interests to, quite frankly, rape our country of resources and our taxpayers.
Multinational
like
corporate, multinational, not even Canadian corporate. Like, hey, if I'm getting screwed over by my own country's corporations, that's one thing. But if I'm getting screwed over by multinational, like they're basically like parasites, taking our tax dollars, not even putting into tax, like Amazon
It's crazy.
and whatnot. They provide jobs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, some of these corporations do more harm than good. And I know that's a lefty talking point, but I'm trying to say, as a true conservative, we should be looking at ma and pa more. We should be trying to uplift the everyday Canadian.
And one of the fallacies that the left uses is like, we need to eat the rich. We need to eat the rich. But here's the thing. Yeah. You're actually attacking and going after like successful entrepreneurs
that are actually
in Canada
that are promoting your views.
That have been like the leveled up mom and pop that are actually like a successful Canadian business. Like, you're not talking about the super rich.
Yeah.
Like, because everyone has a bone to pick with the super rich, and I think are like, relatively critical of them. But like the left does this thing where they're like, we're against like the rich, but it's like, no. If you actually look into this, you'll see that the super rich evade taxes. The super rich they
don't pay zero in taxes. Yeah.
In fact, the super rich are probably the people advocating this idea for Eat the Rich, which is actually just basically making it harder for any large entrepreneur to like actually level up to compete with the super rich ever. They're did that make sense? That made sense to me. I don't know.
Made sense to me.
But again, it's just really sad to see the left kind of like they have nothing left, really.
We're in the end game now. We're playing 5D chess.
They've become this sort of like, truly being against corruption and massive corporations. Like, that should be something that's a left-wing thing. But as it stands...
Classic liberals would be for that.
Yeah.
But classic liberals. I'm talking about like actual liberalism.
But as it stands, we're kind of like... shifted over to like the right, and it's like it's all just like
corporate interests
thing, to be the resistance to this regime. I guess it's like you have to be this associated with the right wing and like these racists or whatever, and it's like it's kind of by design, right?
You're not part of the resistance if every major corporation is backing up your ideology and your idea, and even putting like your colors. It doesn't matter if it's BLM or
it's like, here, take this Molotov cocktail from Amazon to throw into your local business.
The pride flag.
Or BLM.
Pride flag. Perfect example, the pride flag. As soon as it hits, was it June 1st?
Yeah.
You see everything up, right? Mm-hmm. As soon as it hits July 1st, you see everything get taken down. Mm-hmm. Why?
Money!
You're the resistance! Viva la resistance!
We need your money.
Viva la resistance!
We love gays. We love blacks.
Pay here.
We
Pay
love you,
now.
we love
What's
there.
your credit card? What's the security code? We love money, and we love blacks, and we love.
We love everything. Yeah.
We love all the people.
Yeah. Corporations, don't burn our place down. Burn the mom and pop stores down, the small stores. Don't burn Walmart, guys. Don't burn Target.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Oh, your mom and pop store didn't have a BLM sticker.
Oh.
Smashy.
Oh, you didn't board up your store, Mr. Black Man, and say black owned on your business? Smashy was your fault.
Did you hear about the black-owned tag that's going to be on Instagram now?
What? I'm late to the party. What the hell's going on?
I'll try to look it up.
It's because I'm not black anymore, guys. I've embraced my Somali Caucasian heritage.
NBC News. Let's just open up. Hopefully, can we read this? Instagram adds black-owned label option to business profiles. Instagram has been key to customers finding black-owned businesses
wait.
to support for those.
Can we make this business black-owned? Can we say that? I'm sorry, guys. I'm black again. I'm black. I'm not white. I'm black. Can we get a grant for this too?
Yeah. Yo, Trudeau, hit us up.
Hit us up.
He's black, yo.
Black again.
Yo, this guy's black.
The boys are
We
black
need
in
money.
town.
Okay, he's black.
The boys are black
We
in
need
town.
money. Trudeau, I thought you cared about this.
The boys are
Okay.
black in town. The boys are black in town.
Okay, we should wrap this up. We've been going for a
Yeah.
while. I did want to bring up, though, in the spirit of opposition, this character is a
Yeah.
very divisive character right now. Chris Sky.
Chris Sky.
Okay.
Chris Sky.
So just to give you kind of the background on it, because I was there July 1st for Canada Day. There was like a freedom rally, I guess they call it, with the coalition guys, the Freedom Coalition, which is the Derek Sloan, which is the Hillier, which is the Bernier.
Yeah.
And, there was like a nursing group there, like nurses who are like for freedom against the like coalition tyranny or whatever. And Chris Sky, I guess, wasn't invited, or he was invited, and then said he couldn't. And like, there was this big drama where Chris showed up and he like was saying like, these people are here for me. Like, why didn't you let me speak? And blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And it's kind of created this like rift in the sort of like right wing resistance movement, where Chris is like upset at Bernier and saying that they suck or something like that.
Where did this come from, though? Where did this like originate from?
Based on Sky being like not being able to speak, I guess, at this rally, and then they gave Chris some time to speak, and then I guess like they cut his mic out at one point after like a few minutes or something like this. So yeah, I don't know. It's personally. Actually, no. I want to hear it. Do you have any thoughts on this so far? Have you heard about this drama?
Well, I'm just hearing it now. I've seen like a video I think today about Chris Sky fighting like 50 Antifa people off or some shit.
So there is an update to the story, essentially, because there's this rift, but in the right wing, I guess you could say, Chris Sky fans versus like PPC fans, if you will.
The more grassroots versus the more like, how should I say? Post-COVID conservatives. So people that have became conservative because of like Chris Sky.
Anti-lockdown. And Bernier and Sloan are also people who are very anti-lockdown.
So where did their rift come from? Where?
Well, this is the thing, right? Because all these people's politics more or less align.
They overlap.
And there's someone, Linda in chat said ego, and there are these accusations being lofted towards Chris Sky, saying that he's like, he's very about himself and like he wants to be the center of attention. It's not really about like the end goal.
The quote-unquote savior of Canada or some shit like that. I've heard people saying this online, yeah. And I'm like, wow, now you never leave your trust into one man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's the idea that we're trying to, all push together forward, right?
Right.
But I get where people are saying that he's kind of egotistic. He kind of wants things to be about him in the center of attention. So maybe that's why the Freedom, like Maxime Bernier and the Freedom Rally decided to kind of like, they had a message to push, and they didn't want it all to be about Chris Sky and all his fans. Like, oh my God, Chris Sky!
And he is selling his book as well, which is,
What
and
is it about?
there's nothing wrong with like selling a book, but it's like
There's a word for that. It's called grifting.
Grifter.
A grifter, when you kind of like profit off of like a problem of us all be under siege by the Trudeau regime. So buy my book.
There's nothing wrong with profiting off of, how should I say, a movement that you're trying to push forward. But I get it, because where he's at is like a different whole ball game where he just wants to make the whole movement about him. And how he's pushing it. Is that what it is?
I mean,
and is that
I don't
Maxine and them, not you, but I'm saying you're not saying it. I'm just asking out of like curiosity. Is that why they kind of wanted to push him aside so they can have more of the attention on what Derek Sloan and Maxine had to say?
I mean, I wasn't there. I don't know the play-by-play of like why they made that decision or what have you. But I think you're right. I think you're pretty accurate. It has to do with maybe these political figures who are at least in the political arena
sphere,
are like, let's focus on the political solution, which is like,
because they want to change laws and politics, and he just wants to move and do rallies after rallies after rallies, right?
Right, and the thing is like there should be this I think is the point. There should be synergy here. There should be camaraderie here. There should be a team.
We're all on one team
here. Why wouldn't there? We all want the same thing. We all want to fight against this resistance. So why is there this rift happening? And the development where you saw him fighting off all these Antifa people or whatever, essentially this woman, I think it's Camry. Oh man, Carmia. I forget her name. Carmia Sad. She's this cartoonist lawyer woman. And she's worked with Dean Blundell before or something like this. Yeah. And in the past, she has been so smug talking about, Chris Sky got banned off Instagram again. Like, that's what you get for, like, resisting the lockdowns or something. I mean, I don't want to speak too much. Exactly, this woman. Yeah, so...
So I'll just show it right here.
Karima?
I'll just put it up right here.
So there was an event... Yeah, let me grab that. Okay. So there was this event... that you can't read.
You can't really read it, but okay.
It was on Saturday. Yeah. And her logic, she even said this publicly, well, I want to platform Chris Sky or have this discussion so we can kind of talk about the rift in like the right-wing movement, right? Mm-hmm. So it sounds like she kind of wants to throw salt in this wound and kind of like widen.
No. You know what it sounds to me? Sounds like she has a crowbar. And she's kind of like wedging it a little bit and trying to make the rift real.
Yeah.
Like there might be a crack or a chink in our armor right now, and she wants to just like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? And she's gonna lead him probably on to say some stuff that goes against so it creates Team A versus Team B.
Yeah, it makes it even more real. Makes the division even more real. That's kind of I think that's a great way to look at it, and. I don't want to go into what her motivations might be. I don't really know. It's like, what I do want to say though, like it was weird when I feel like this happened all of a sudden, like maybe 6 months ago, maybe longer.
Yeah.
My perception of time is so warped with like this weird COVID world we live in now. But essentially, Dean Blundell showed up, she showed up, all these different influencers just kind of showed up on social media to be like, we really need to get the vaccine. Lockdowns are good. Anybody who resists this stuff is like crazy. And it's like they all kind of had the same policy.
You know what scared me?
The same opinions. All of a sudden, they all had the exact same opinion about everything. And it was very interesting.
Yeah,
it was very interesting. And I gotta say, to like Karima, I'm sorry, you don't really have any integrity. You're getting excited about Chris Sky being deplatformed off of Instagram, and then you're inviting him back on his show because you have like political goals, I guess, to like try and divide. Like it's very sus.
It's
the whole thing
very
is
sneaky and
super
sus.
They will not divide us. They will not divide us. Shout out to what's his face, Shia LaBeouf. I don't want to say anything bad about Chris Sky, but what is your goal, man? What's your
end game?
Because you should know, if you're smart, you should know that this war against the Trudeau regime is fought on different fronts. And one of the most important ones is like the political arena
coordination of
actually having a candidate to vote for it, actually having a party to look to. That's kind of a useful thing to have.
Somewhere to like align all our goals within and put our,
Yeah, at the very least. And that's not really a big ask. You have so much stuff in common with these people already. Hell, you could probably even become a candidate if you wanted to. Lots of attention on you. There you go.
Yeah, and you would probably get the votes. You know.
Well, yeah.
You probably get the chair. You know.
And
not the electric chair, but
so we need to look out. We need to look out for this kind of like divisive tactics that are going on, and work together because we're it. Right.
That's
like,
it.
Like if you know friends who are like, resisting this Trudeau regime or what have you, like you guys are it. You guys are some of the soldiers out there who are part of the resistance. It's like Star Wars. Okay, we're the rebels. We're the.
Every time you do your own diligence and researching and not like take the narrative of what they dish out to you. Every time you actually like share information with either friends, family, or anybody that you align kind of the same views are. Anytime that you don't consider yourself in an echo chamber as well, and you look at the whole greater picture, because we're better than that. We don't want to just have an echo chamber beating, in our brains. Like we have the same goal, but different ways to reach there in different paths, right? So, and I kudos to Chris Sky for taking the movement into that kind of stratosphere where he was actually looking at like vaccinations and vaccine passports, and like restrictions of movement in our own country. So I give him the credit for that for the most part. But also, like I say, there's a time and place for everything, and also there's a time where you gotta like I said, Maxime Bernier, he did what he could. He built the foundation for the PPC, but there's also a time and place to know that this is as far as you can take it, and you need to give like
you gotta branch out.
You need to
give. You can't do it alone.
You need to give that Olympic torch and relay it to the next person that can probably get that torch to where it needs to go, to the flame of liberty, to the flame of democracy, to the flame of Western civilization. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
because right now democracy and civilization, Western civilization, is literally a candle in the wind, and we're basically holding it together. Make sure it doesn't you know what I mean? That's you know what I mean? It's a candle in the wind, and literally we've got to reignite this flame, or else it's going to be darkness forever. We'll be plunged back into medieval ages where everybody was just against each other for no apparent reason, and there was no real law and order.
Yeah.
And it was all feudal. It was all like top tier, and then everybody else peasants. You know what I mean? We don't want to revert to that.
There's a lot at stake, and we definitely have to work together.
Yeah.
Make sure you subscribe to our new channel. The link is in the description. It's Project Canada, the YouTube channel. We go subscribe there. We're diversifying so we can have as many platforms as possible here. This is Dad Buzz TV.
This is Greg Wyclef.
And thank you so much for watching. Is there anything else we want to add really to end it out? Thank you for the super chats from Viking, Mr. Viking.
Thank you guys for the super chats, Viking, and who else?
I think it was all Viking today.
Viking.
It was all Viking insane. The man.
Thank you, Viking. Appreciate it, brother.
But we will be back here Sunday.
We
stream every Sunday, Project Canada. And we'll see you next Sunday. And with that, we are out of here.
We are out. Peace.
Bye.
Bye.